What's going on, guys? It is Fox298 here, and welcome back to a brand new F1 2017 career mode video for you guys today here on the channel. Today we are here for the Malaysian Grand Prix, and we've got an upgrade that comes in for the chassis to help out on that side of the car, because throughout the entire season we've been focusing primarily on the powertrain, but obviously we haven't been doing a lot of work on any other parts of the car, in fact, the chassis and also the aerodynamics. So as you can see, in terms of the chassis, we now have got the exact same chassis, if not just a pixel less than Mercedes-Benz, and then one upgrade away from Ferrari. In terms of the aerodynamics, that's where we're a little bit behind, so one upgrade there should bring us on par. And then also we've got the engine area, which we're sort of, again, very, very close now to catching up to Mercedes and Ferrari in this battle in the World Championship. But at the moment, things stand very, very good for us in the championship after some very poor races from my title rival Lewis Hamilton. Means that the championship is fully back in my favour as we head towards the Malaysian Grand Prix, which is traditionally a racetrack that I don't really perform well at. I'm not really sure what it is. It's just a track that I just really am quite bad at driving at. So yeah, we're just going to have to judge these ones as damage limitation races, definitely here in Malaysia and also in Japan. And we'll just have to try our best to see what we can do. And in the practice programs, my problems did actually already start arising, as unfortunately I just didn't have any pace in the practice programs. I couldn't complete any of them. I really tried and I just couldn't get them done, which was very worrying for the weekend ahead. But at the end of the day, you know, there's going to be some good tracks, going to be some bad tracks, and you can already see that I'm just, you know, getting a little bit frustrated behind the wheel. Which is kind of inevitable, really, because I obviously want to try and perform my best in every single race, and if your best is, like, down the order, then, you know, you just kind of feel like your talent's being wasted in some senses. But obviously I don't really have that much talent, so I don't know why I'm saying that. So I'm just going to carry on waffling about something else that's actually relevant. So, as you can see then, all of our engine components on engine component 3 are now yellow, apart from the energy store, which is still holding up quite nicely. In fact, that's the most reliable part of our engine overall, because all of my energy store sections are still green, which is awesome. But moving on then into qualifying, and as you can see, we are actually in a full wet session, and you can see that we're coming towards the end of the qualifying session now. We've got 36 seconds remaining until the qualifying session ends. I actually back off on this lap because I'm actually going for 2 runs here. But the first run was sort of like a little banker, so you can see as we come across the line, it is 1.4 seconds off the pace, which is clearly not where we're going to be, as I want to get the tyres in a good working range. And as you can see then, I'm going to go through this whole lap. It wasn't an extraordinary lap, but I thought I would just go through the qualifying lap, considering I didn't really get to show you anything in the practice programs. You know, there wasn't really much there. I thought I'd just go through this lap, and you can see how much the back end really sliding on me here in these full wet conditions, having to control the snaps of oversteer from the aquaplaning as we come into the first sector now. We're actually a 10th up on the first sector to Kimi Raikkonen, so very, very strong first sector here as we now come towards this middle sector. This is where the time can be gained or it can be all lost, especially in these conditions as we take it very, very cautiously. But funnily enough, you can see that we're still down on our delta time, so really we did actually put in a very good first lap as we come through this section here, very close to, well, that was actually a corner cut. Okay, I didn't see that one. I knew that the first one was quite close, but obviously trying to turn in very early for those corners. But unfortunately, we have caught up to Lance Stroll, and that's causing us a problem. You can see we gain half a second from this hairpin alone, and this time now, unfortunately for myself, I am going to actually have to lunge it down the inside of Stroll here, kind of really compromise my line a lot through there, and we lost a good amount of time, but we'll just have to carry on nonetheless as we now come through towards the traditional Perez corner, the corner in which he went very, very wide and cost himself the chance of his only victory in Formula 1 back in 2012. So we get on the power, losing the back end ever so slightly, but we're coming up towards that start-finish line. You can see Lewis Hamilton with a 1:45.9, a cracking lap from him, and we're down in P9 at the moment, so we really need to get this lap in. But you can already see that we're good 1.5, 1.6 seconds, in fact that's actually 1.9, I don't even know, the timing screen's blurry, I can't really see it that well. But as we make a charge towards the start-finish line, it isn't going to be P1, and for the third race in a row, it is third place. So it appears that qualifying third on the grid just seems to be our new best friend, because we've done that now for the past 3 races. Lewis Hamilton takes pole position by over just over half a second from Kimi Raikkonen there, and 7/10 clear myself, and he's nearly a second faster than his teammate Valtteri Bottas there. So Hamilton in a new league here in this qualifying session, and quite frankly, he needs to be, because of course the championship is very, very tough for him at the moment, and he is the closest challenger. So, as you can see then, we managed to beat, I think we beat Sebastian Vettel. We did actually, yes. We out-qualified Vettel, so we did well there in terms of the driver reputation. But now we're going to be getting straight on into the race for this Grand Prix. And as you can see, the team would like me to finish above 4th place, and also place 3rd in the championship. Now, the place 3rd in the championship thing, I really don't pay any attention to, because at the moment, it would take a lot for me to drop down below 3rd in the championship. But looking at the starting grid then, Lewis Hamilton, crucially, as you can see there, has actually got a grid penalty, which is yet more problems for my title rival. So it does mean that we're going to be starting on the front row of the grid here, and it's all about how far down Hamilton is starting, and there it is. He is starting in 11th place, so it takes a 10 place grid penalty here in Malaysia, but that does mean that it will help him out come the back end of right at the back end of the season, when, you know, people will start having grid penalties in like Japan, Brazil and Abu Dhabi, you know, like those type of tracks. Hamilton won't have those, so very, very crucial there. But having a look at the race then, you can see that we're going to be having dry weather and then going up to some wet weather later on in the race, and I was considering going from a set of soft tyres to a set of super soft tyres. Now, of course, with qualifying in full wet, everyone has the freedom of tyre choice, but I decided that there's no point, you know. I'm already slow enough as it is around this track and how it was, that I'm not even going to bother doing that. So I'm just going to stay as I am, and just go towards the end. And if I have to change to the wet tyre or the intermediate tyres, I'll change over to them. But that's what we're going to be doing. So a one-stop race, obviously, with our 25% races, of course, because of the university holding us back. We can't do the 50% races, but we've got 5 red lights here, and it is lights out. We go here to start this Malaysian Grand Prix off. It's been a good getaway from us, actually, compared to the rest of the pack. Raikkonen's got the best start, though, out of everybody, but as you can see now, tucking into the slipstream of Kimi Raikkonen. Malaysia's a very wide track, so I might as well just, you know, sneak my car into turn 1, do a little bit of a Red Bull overtake there, and we can cover off now Kimi Raikkonen into turn 2 and make a very simple overtake, and that was always going to be the plan, starting on the front row of the grid, getting that overtake done up into the lead of the race. Bottas also sneaks its row on Kimi Raikkonen, so he's obviously taking advantage. He gets very close in towards turn 4, and now onto lap 4 of the Grand Prix. You can see that Valtteri Bottas now is actually on the back of us here, and we go towards turn 1. Here comes Bottas down the inside. He's actually got this one, but we hold it around the outside. It's going to give us the inside into turn 2. I'm going to you carry more speed into turn 2, which is going to shove Bottas wider, and it's going to allow me to shut the door on him, and we do just that, up back into the lead of the Grand Prix. But yeah, we got a very clean start, and obviously we got past Raikkonen because Malaysia is just such a wide track in general, but unfortunately I was not pulling away from anyone in this race. I was in the lead, and you might as well have just called me a safety car in this race, because I was genuinely that slow. I am a bust to everyone right now, and they just need to find a way past, and how? I don't know. But anyway, as you can see now, Valtteri Bottas here with the DRS wide open is now on the attack here. He's just 2/10 back. Here comes Valtteri Bottas for a second attack now. Hamilton is somewhere in this pack as well. He's actually made good progress here, but Bottas this time goes for the outside line, which is a very interesting choice there from Bottas. But eventually, after doing many switchbacks there, Bottas looking everywhere to just try and find a piece of track that will give him the opportunity to get in front. But unfortunately for him, I'm not exactly that easy to overtake. So if you want to try, you might want to try again. But as you can see now, we're coming on to the end of lap 5. We're about to be starting lap 6. But once again, the beauty of 2 humongously long straights and the DRS and the slipstream and the Mercedes powered engine. Bottas flies through, but I'm going to give him a really tight line into this final corner. I'm going to grant him the space because I know Bottas is going to run wide, and I do just that, and we stay in front. But yet again, you could just see the pack of cars. In fact, if you look at the mini-map down in the bottom left-hand corner, Hamilton sets the fast lap the race so far. You can see that I'm literally a safety car. Like I just said, I am a safety car in this Grand Prix, and I'm doing everything I can just to stay in front. As long as I've got track position, I've got no problem holding people back. It's when they get in front of me, that's when the problem lies. But onto lap 7 of the Grand Prix now. We have another small problem. We're coming into the pits here as we come sliding in towards the pit lane here. Unfortunately, it appears that drivers actually came in a lap earlier than myself, which is horrible. That means that the undercut has been triggered by many cars. And as you can see now, we are going to get held up by Esteban Ocon by quite some time there. Horrible pit stop there. We actually had a 2.3 second pit stop, which overall was a really good pit stop. But being held up there by Ocon is not what I needed. And now, weirdly enough, from 11th on the grid, my closest rival in this race now is Lewis Hamilton. I don't know where he is. That's Lewis Hamilton there, in towards turn 1. Hamilton has made the undercut stick on us. So Lewis Hamilton just gets out in front of us, and if we weren't held up by Esteban Ocon, we would have been in front of Lewis Hamilton. But unfortunately, Lewis has made that undercut stick. He didn't get held up in the pits. I got held up in the pits. Hamilton into the lead, and I've got no chance now to fight back against Lewis Hamilton. It sounds very defeatist, but I'm so much slower than these cars in this race. It's ridiculous. And on to lap 9 of the Grand Prix now. Hamilton is sailing off into the distance. You can see him. He goes through turn 2 now. You can see him through there. And unfortunately, we got a yellow flag actually. And I genuinely thought this could have been Lewis Hamilton. And it was showing quite close to Hamilton's proximity arrow. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be. It was actually for Sebastian Vettel, who is out at the Malaysian Grand Prix, which means for 3 races in a row now, Ferrari have had a DNF. They had Raikkonen in Italy and Singapore, and now we're back at it again. And on to the last lap of the Grand Prix. Nothing else really happened in this race. I was doing everything I can, but you can already see how far ahead Lewis Hamilton got from myself. Valtteri Bottas was behind me, but you can see there's a yellow flag. I believe he had some sort of problem, most likely a puncture, but from 11th on the grid, Lewis Hamilton comes across the line to win the Malaysian Grand Prix, and he puts an end to my race-winning streak that I have been going on this season, and he wins in front of his the main sponsor's home crowd, Petronas. And as you can see, we claim P2 in this Grand Prix, and I'm going to put my hands up and I'm going to celebrate this one because I thoroughly did not deserve a single spot on that podium today. The pace was not there in the Red Bull car, unfortunately for me today. But at the end of the day, we did what we do best, and that's defend. So, you know, if you can't, you know, you may not have the fastest car on the track, but if you can't overtake that car, then you know that there's a little bit of a problem there. But as you can see, Mercedes-Benz pick up their first win since, I believe this is now since the British Grand Prix. I think it's the first time they've won a Grand Prix. I think Lewis Hamilton won the British Grand Prix, if I can remember off the top of my head. I can't quite fully remember, but yeah, the first time in a long time, should we say, that Mercedes-Benz have picked up a Grand Prix victory. Obviously, with myself winning in Hungary, then in Belgium, then in Italy, and in Singapore, with 4 race wins in a row. It's been a long time coming, but as you can see, Hamilton does take the top step of the podium. Myself in second. Now, Daniel Ricciardo was in third, but obviously you can see Kimi Raikkonen is now in third. So Raikkonen overtook Ricciardo on the final straight, on the final lap, to take the home P3, which I was really disappointed about. I'd love to see Ricciardo back up on the podium. It's been a long time since he's been here, but you can see now they're celebrating with all of the champagne. And that is it for the Malaysian Grand Prix. And you'll see now here, as you can see, here are all of the drivers and on their lap times. You can see Lewis Hamilton's fastest lap was a 1:32.8. My fastest lap was a 1:34.5. Kind of putting into perspective of A, how much I was holding people up, and B, when someone like Hamilton got into fresh air, he was nearly 2 seconds a lap faster than I was, which is just crazy pace. But in the Drivers' Championship, Lewis Hamilton now cuts that gap down to 50 points in the championship. It's still a very, very comfortable margin, but I can't take anything for granted. In the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull still holds a 72-point lead as we go towards the Japanese Grand Prix next, which is going to be another quite difficult circuit for myself. Again, just driver preferences, nothing to do with the car being bad, just driver preference on that one. But I believe we're going to make an upgrade now to that engine part that failed, and then we're going to move on to this race. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, feel free to drop it a like, and if you're new around here as well and you enjoy the content you do see, feel free to subscribe. And as you can see, there is that engine upgrade, which will come in Japan to give us a little bit more grunt in a straight line. And until then, guys, I'll see you next time. Take care all.